sir, we've come to Preed. Can I take your order, please?
Hello everybody and welcome to the Gibbons Talks Boxing YouTube channel. Today I am joined by Henry and Kenny from the Professional Boxers Affiliation. Is that correct, guys?
That's the correct, mate. Yep.
Yeah, I noticed you online recently and I had a bit of interest in what you were about. I looked on your website, seemed quite interesting, quite a bit of information there. So I thought I'd reach out and set up this interview. So guys, if you want to introduce yourselves and just tell the viewers what your organisation is about.
Yeah, so essentially what the Professional Boxers Affiliation is and what we plan on doing with it is similar to other association bodies in other sports. So in most other sports, all elite sports in the UK, essentially you have an association body such as the PFA for football, the PCA for cricket, the RPA for rugby. So and these bodies all look after the welfare of their sports people in that particular sport. And we want to replicate that within boxing. We feel that it's needed within boxing especially. And by doing that, we look to operate in three main areas of concern that we feel are important for professional boxers' welfare. So one is around financial planning, mental wellbeing support, the second one, and retirement planning as well. So within those three areas, we will look to provide educational workshops, policies such as the pension plan that we want to set up this year, which will allow boxers to contribute when they fight into a pension scheme, as well as any work they might have a second job that will allow them to contribute to that pension scheme as well. So yeah, we look to all set this up, hopefully when we get the correct funding in place, and yeah, it will just be a great way to look after boxer welfare, which has been neglected for so long within the sport.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone within boxing would agree with your sentiment. So what stage are you at now with putting all these things in place?
So the business side of things, in terms of forming partnerships with the companies that Kenny briefly spoke about, who will offer these services. So mental health charities such as Sporting Chance, Cognacity, financial planners, individual and overarching ones such as Cartledge Moreland, and also speaking to a company called Belgrave Wincham, who are independent financial planner. And then the secondary career transition companies such as LAPS, which is Life After Professional Sport, and Switch the Play, who also have job boards and help athletes transition from their sporting career to something in retirement. So in terms of all those partnerships, they're all sorted, ready to go. But obviously, a lot of them require funding. So that's what we're currently looking at the moment. We're on Twitter trying to raise awareness about ourselves, do interviews like these. But yeah, we're trying to contact people for possible donations and sponsors and partnerships to try and get this thing off the ground and start making a difference.
And how has the reaction been to the setting up of your organisation from the actual boxers themselves and people within the boxing industry within Britain?
Yeah, so a lot of boxers that we've spoken to and managers as well have all been very supportive of what we're doing. And yeah, it's all had a good reaction, especially on Twitter as well. But a lot of people message us or email us asking if they can help, if there's any way they can volunteer. So it shows, it's had a positive reaction among people who actually want to get involved in boxing from both a fan's point of view. And I think from that sense, it's bringing boxers and fans almost close together, because you can see that there is a lot of people out there that actually agree with what we're doing, but also want to take it a step further by getting involved themselves and wanting to help. So yeah, it's had a great reaction all round, not just from boxers and from fans as well. And obviously, yeah, the next step for us is just to sign as many boxers on as we can as soon as we feel that we're ready to do so.
And I think that is or was the problem they had in when Barry McGugan set up the Professional Boxers Association, whenever it was 20 odd years ago, is that he couldn't get the boxers themselves to engage with the organisation. How are you guys going to deal with that? Because boxers very skeptical people, generally speaking, I think. they are in effect those self-employed people, so they want to keep all the money they earn themselves. They don't earn a lot of money, most boxers. So how are you going to engage the boxers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just about firstly taking our time, building up trust, gaining the respect of these people, and then eventually having the services on offer that make them actually want to join, rather than just being a body that comes and goes and peters out. We want to have the services that will actually make a real difference to their lives. I think also the kind of emergence and forefront that mental health and mental well-being has in the sport today, and not the sport but in society generally. I think that would also is very different to what we're trying to set up, and when Barry McGuigan tried to set it up, the circumstances obviously changed. So I think that will work in our favour as well. But yeah, as I said, it's just about trying to establish ourselves and gain the trust and persuade these boxers that we're actually here to help, and we're not trying to take anything away from them or their managers or their promoters. We're here to complement the work of them and make a difference.
And whenever people mention a union or trade union, which is sort of what you like, management in all walks of life get very suspicious. They get their heckles are drawn up. I mean, what do you think boxing managers and promoters are going to make of your organisation? Have they got anything to worry about? Because a lot of grassroots promoters, especially, would say that their life is difficult enough as it is now, trying to put shows on without having to deal with a boxers union as well.
Yeah, so I mean, that's probably an issue that we expected to sort of overcome face, but to be honest with you, there's no issue. We're not going to be stepping on anyone's toes with what we're doing. We're essentially just filling a void that exists in terms of boxer welfare. It doesn't really fall into the jurisdiction of anyone to look after boxers when they retire or when they're about to retire. I mean, managers obviously have to look after their own revenue stream and consider the fighters that they have right now. So it's down to us, and I think it's good for a new body like us to come in and look after boxers when they retire and when they're about to enter that retirement phase, and also educate young boxers when they're coming through about the pitfalls surrounding the sport. And that's not stepping on anyone's toes, and I don't think managers actually have anything to worry about. Essentially, actually, from the managers that we've spoken to, they've been very supportive of the work we're doing. And it's just because, as I say now, we've laid out straightforward what we're actually doing and what the plans are, and that it doesn't involve any interchange or cross paths with managements and promoters alike.
In practical terms, what will this mean for boxers? Let's just say your average journeyman who fights 2 or 3 times a month. What impact, hopefully, will your organisation have on his life or her life?
So I mean, we just kind of want to be that constant support group, body kind of thing throughout his first fight to his last fight, and we want to make sure he's properly insured. We want to make sure there's mental wealth support for him throughout his career, and we also want to make sure there's something set up for him for when he retires, because as you said, journeymen, that even though they're fighting that often, I mean, it's widely acknowledged they're not earning mega bucks, so they're going to either need to work alongside their current boxing schedule, or at least have something set in stone for when they retire. So that's something we want to just help them plan and look after them throughout their career.
So would this planning be put in a little bit of money aside after each fight, or would there be any fees to your organisation to be affiliated to it?
Yeah, so there will be a membership fee, which will most likely be between £100 and £200, and that will be paid annually, and that gives a buy-in for the boxers essentially, and all other association bodies, they have a membership fee as well. And that's essentially all they will pay, which will, towards our organisation. Hopefully, in years to come, when we grow and become more successful, that we have all our funding in place that we can contribute towards boxers when they retire, through the classes that we want to put on, so the retirement planning classes, any mental wellbeing support as well. So the boxers essentially don't have to pay a penny apart from the membership fee that they'll incur. But as I say, yeah, we are, as Henry mentioned, we want to be that constant. And if we can do that for, just the membership price that we offer to pay, then, hopefully it'll just be as successful as we can and as successful as we plan it to be.
And has the British Boxing Board of Control been in contact, or have you reached out to Robert Smith in the board to see his views?
We haven't been in contact. They haven't been. We're trying to hold off a little bit with that. We don't want it to be just brushed off immediately. We kind of want to have a support, people who support us before we go to them. So yeah, as I said, they can't brush us off. But I did speak to Mickey Cantwell, who was involved in setting up the old PBA, and he said, I think he's good friends with Robert Smith, and he said I don't think he couldn't see any reason why they wouldn't support us. So it's just, obviously that will happen. We will make contact with them, but as I said, we just want to be a force to be reckoned with, if you know what I mean.
And also, guys, for your organisation to be successful, you need to have 2 credible leaders or faces to lead the organisation. I mean, what's your backgrounds in boxing? Yeah,
so my background in boxing essentially comes from my brother, who was a good amateur, a real good amateur. He fought in the ABA finals up in Rotherham, trained with England, and then was training down in Body Shots Gym with Richard Sawyer down in Dagenham. So that's where my tie comes in from boxing. I've been around it through him for many years now. Obviously, with the current situation with the pandemic, he stopped training as of last year. But hopefully, as the gyms open back up again, then he'll be back training. So yeah, from that I've always been around boxing and seen boxers, and and that's where the link comes in from my point of view. And as I say, yeah, from seeing the sacrifice that boxers put in daily with the training and with the dieting as well, which is insane, it sort of spurred me on a little bit to try and give something back, because I've seen it myself, the dedication that they all put in for the sport.
Yeah, and my background in boxing isn't anything really. Kenny's got the true link. I'm just a fan, and yeah, that's about as far as it goes, to be honest.
And like I said earlier, I mean, both of you look quite young. I don't know if I presume that's a compliment, really. Have a lot of people said that to you?
No, not me.
No?
Maybe me.
well, you haven't got much hair like me, but you got a bit of a baby face, I think.
Got a proper haircut.
Yeah, we have obviously had people say we look quite young, but I mean, it is what it is. To be honest with you, we've been highly successful in what we're doing so far and setting this up, regardless of how old we look. But yeah, it's we've just got to keep going with it, and hopefully, once we get the big breakthrough in terms of funding, then we can properly put everything that we want to in place. And we're in constant contact with the other association bodies as well, and the like the PPF who we spoke to not so long ago. So we've always got them to fall back on, and we try and speak to them to give us guidance, as well as other organisations who specialise in association bodies. So it's all there for us to use them and use the experience that we have with other boxers that we're speaking to at the moment to make sure that this model is a perfect model and it's set up correctly for boxers.
Question again, sorry.
So how long before you're up and running on doing what you think needs to be done to help boxers, provided obviously you get the funding and boxers embrace your organisation?
Yeah, I mean, even if we had 150, let's say, boxers sign up, pay the membership fee, we're still going to need external funding. I know the PFA, for example, their membership fees is loose change for them, really. The bulk portion of their funding comes from TV money and things like that, and the other stakeholders in the sport. So yeah, even if we get 150 boxers, that still wouldn't be enough revenue for us to pay for treatment at them at a rehab clinic. So in answer to your question, it is very reliant on external funding, despite support from boxers.
And would you like, or would you expect the big names of boxing to pay a little bit more? Because if you're, like I mentioned earlier, if you're a journeyman boxer and you're fighting for, was it £1,300 every couple of weeks, that's a big difference from some of the big names fighting on Sky earning potentially millions.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite. I know there's like an equity issue when you bring that up, but I think we'll keep it as a flat rate for every single boxer. I think it's safe to do it that way. You know, as you say, the big names who are earning millions, things can change overnight with boxing in a fight, and they might lose their income, or they might, you know, just drop off their level and then they're not earning so much again. So we'll keep it as a flat rate for everyone. Yeah, hopefully, you know, I think that the equity issue is there, but we have to just keep it as a flat rate. I think the other bodies do that as well, and it's the safest bet to do.
And if there are any professional boxers watching this interview, or managers or promoters, and they want to find out some more information about your organisation and how they get involved, how do they reach out to you?
Send us a message on Twitter. Our Twitter username is @PBAffiliation, and the website is www.pbaffiliation.co.uk. And on there you can find contact form, email, and stuff like that. But yeah, Twitter's probably the easiest. We'll reply to your DM very quickly, and yeah, see how anyone can help, even if it's just fans who have have experience in certain areas that we're trying to look after. So, for example, we've spoken to boxing fans who work in grief counselling and all different types like that. So anyone that can kind of help and wants to support boxers, yeah, get in contact and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, thank you both gentlemen for joining me this morning. It's been really interesting. I hope your organisation is successful, because I'm sure anyone who's been involved in boxing any amount of time can give plenty of examples of boxers who have basically gone into the sport with nothing and left the sport with nothing. So there's definitely a need for an organisation, and hopefully you guys can provide that care that's needed.
No, yeah, thank you very much, mate. Thanks for having us
Okay,
on.
cheers guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hello, so we've Haunted Freed. Can I take your order, please?